Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke, and in this tutorial we will show you how to put together and how to use the 9-inch curve seam template. Now this set of templates comes as 2 pieces, and let's look at one piece at a time. The first is what we call the fill-in template, and that is for cutting the piece that you see here, the fill-in of the curve. The other is very similar in shape, but it is labeled, and you'll see that it is the 9-inch takeaway template, and that will create the piece here. Now this template set was originally designed to work with a 10-inch pre-cut square, so that's the pieces we're going to be working with today. Okay, we'll take this out just so you could see the etching really well, and we're going to bring in a rotating mat so that it's easy to cut the shapes required for this block. And this is a 10-inch square pre-cut, and you could use yardage and cut your own 10-inch strips, but here's what we've got. We're going to put the template aligning 2 edges with the cut edge of our square here, and then we are going to go in and simply make that nice gentle curve, and since it's on a rotating mat, make it very easy to reach. Walk your fingers along so that you can nice and accurately cut these great curves. And I must have missed just a tiny thread there. That happens. Okay, then we would have this perfect curve for us to piece later, just like the one here, or all of the ones seen behind you in the quilt called String of Pearls. Okay, we would go through and cut all of the fill-in pieces that are required for our quilt and our pattern, and then we would take our background fabric and use now the takeaway template, and we'll lay that on again, matching the right angle along the cut edge of our fabric there, and we would then take and cut very gently, very accurately. You used to have to do these by drawing around a piece of plastic or cardboard to create these shapes, but look how nice and gentle and perfect the curve is by using the template. This, of course, is called the takeaway template, so that means that the fabric we had under our template, we take away. So we take that out. Now we're going to talk about the piecing of this block. And sometimes curves can be a little intimidating, but because this is a large block and it's a very gentle curve, it's a great beginner curve for us to work on. So what I'm going to do is show you that you just fold each of the curves in half and put a little pinch there so that you can tell where the center was. Do the same thing with the outer piece. And now you know where centers are on your block. Now we just take a couple of pins, actually 3 to be exact. That's how I usually do them. We're going to put the smile of the curve on top, aligning those pinch little spots we put in there to align the centers. And we want this to be kind of a pivot spot, so it's a very small bite into the fabric. It has a little bit of play. We're going to come over to the outer edge. We're going to align those ends and take a bigger bite there. We're going to come to this side and do the exact same thing. Aligning the ends of the block. Take a bigger bite there. And now this is the piece where we want to put the 1/4-inch seam. We're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and we have it set up for a 1/4-inch seam allowance, and we're going to put it under the presser foot. I usually leave that first pin in place until I get it positioned where I need it, and take the first couple of stitches just so that I know that the cut edges won't shift. And then you just walk it along slowly, making sure you're using your best 1/4-inch seaming. Don't get in a hurry. You're just going to gently seam these together. Now usually I would have people in class practice this block a few times before they would actually get into their quilt. So it's a great place to sharpen up your 1/4 inch seam skills, that pinning, getting everything aligned just right so you have a nice, gentle, clean curve when you're finished. A lot of people, when they're working on this, want to do it in one big, huge fell swoop. It takes start and stop. It's a little bit of patience, but it's a good thing for us to learn patience. Work our way along. And you'll notice this is not smooth along my left-hand side here. There's kind of a bubble of the fabric. But because the pieces are engineered precisely, the seam allowances will overlap with an accurate 1/4 inch seam. Okay, we're almost to the end of the seam. Sometimes a stiletto helps just to kind of nudge, making sure you're staying right on there. Take out the pin as we approach the very end. And we've got it. Okay, here's our 1/4 inch seam all the way along. And as you open this, you'll notice that the seam allowance will want to go towards this background fabric. That fullness wants to kind of splay out and away, so that's the direction we let it go. Making sure you open your seam allowance all the way to the stitching line. Then we take it over to the ironing surface and make sure that you always press those seams nice and crisp. It's one step that we tend to want to ignore, and it's probably one of the most important things in getting a good finished product. Okay, so now these two blocks are cousins. You can create quilts like this with this kind of a layout. There are numerous layouts you can use with a curved seam piecing template like this. So visit fonsandporter.com today for the template and the pattern for this quilt. Thanks.